And welcome back to the Drive Time News. Derek Hanson with you on the mighty 790 and 104.7 KFGO. A pleasure to have with us Gone Outdoors with Brewer and Agre co-host, one of them anyway, Kyle Agre, Scott Brewer. They'll be on again Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And one thing about it, Kyle, we've talked so much. Yesterday we had Too Tall Tom Szymanski on for Weather Watch Wednesday talking about the drought conditions that we're having around here. And I kind of feel bad for wildlife for it as well.
Derek, yes, great to be visiting, and you're right. The wildlife is they're living in this heat and this dry weather, just like we are. And for a lot of us, we're not out in it 24/7 like they are. And I mean, they got to find their ways to adapt and deal with it, and find those water sources. And we could definitely use a little bit of moisture here and get us back to where it's a little easier for them to find a drink of water.
Yeah, because even the stuff that's kind of come around this afternoon for the listening area, I mean, it's not a lot, right? It's kind of spotty showers, thunderstorms, but it's just one big, not like we see in May and June where it can be an all-day affair. And, a nice short soaker for about a couple inches would not hurt anyone right now.
I think we'd all just really appreciate that an awful lot. And if you think about how the temperatures we've had, right? I mean, they've been really warm. They're kind of peak temperatures that we're going to see around here throughout the year. And what happens when it gets that warm? That sun is beating down. It doesn't matter if it's a river or a lake or a wetland. That water is evaporating, and it's evaporating really quickly. And you see it in the area lakes. The water levels are going down. You just the smaller wetlands where these animals depend on having that moisture, they're shrinking up too. And yeah, a couple inches would do us a lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, any rain helps, but some of the stuff that's been in the listening area today, just not enough, I think, for most people. That is for sure. But we'll take anything as we can get it, and there's no doubt about that. The heat itself, I mean, it's got to be a little bit of a strain for some of the animals out there, I'm sure, right? I mean, the extremes can't be good. Extreme cold, extreme heat, it can't be good for anyone.
Yeah, you're right about that, Derek. And, fortunately, I think a lot of the wildlife is pretty well adapted to be able to handle it, right? Mm-hmm. They really minimize their activity during the heat of the day. You see most animals, they're in woodlands, they're in the shade, they're buried in the ground, depending on what kind of animal it is. They're finding the coolest spot, and then they're out at sunrise, sunset when things are maybe a little bit more conducive to being out, or nighttime, that sort of thing. Our fish, you think about what we feel in the air, but the water in area lakes is at its peak temperatures. Many of them in the shallows are well into the 80s. You dip your toe off the dock, and it's like dipping your toe into a bathtub, And so those fish are finding some of the cooler water areas if that's what they need. One thing, if we're out fishing, that we always have to remember is, that warmer water, it holds less dissolved oxygen. Or should I say the fish expend more of their energy and need more oxygen in that warmer water, being cold-blooded animals. And when we catch fish, we got to really be just diligent about getting them in the boat. If we're not keeping them for dinner, get them back in that water so they can get down into that cool water at the deeper depths as quickly as possible.
Well, especially walleye, right? Because they like to sit below right in the bottom in the cooler water all the time, right? In the dark.
They do. Well, so we're learning more and more about that, Derek. But there's a few of those that maybe have been myth busted now. I think we find more walleyes up shallow and up in the higher water columns than we thought existed in the past. But yeah, for the most part, they're cooler water fish. And so when this water warms up, they're seeking, an environment, water that's a little bit cooler than what we see in the shallows, and they're trying to get by doing that. And it just depends. All those fish are different. Bass sometimes feel like they enjoy that warmer water. That's kind of where their habitat is. But your walleye and your pike and some of those other ones, they're looking for cool water.
Is bass fishing growing? I feel like I see more and more people in my bay, standing up doing the, what I mean? It used to be my lake. It was just kind of always you'd see people out early in the morning, late at night fishing, but it just seems like that is growing and growing just for the sport of it, probably much as anything, right?
It is, Derek. Yeah, that's a really good observation. And I'll tell you what, in my mind, I see two things when you say that. Number one, just the popularity of student angling,
Oh,
right?
sure.
And these
Yeah.
kids, what do they love to do? They love to be active. They don't want to necessarily just sit there and hold that rod. They want to cast. They want to be active about what their fishing is, and bass fishing really brings that out, as an opportunity. And so you don't only see the students out there during their events, but you see them bringing their families out on the weekends and at other times. And I think the other factor there, Derek, is sometimes as we look at new technology, we might mistake some of our walleye anglers who are up there in the front of the boat casting all the time, using that forward-facing sonar and live scope. They look like what we used to think all of our bass anglers looked like, but now more and more people are doing that, and so it's just kind of a common occurrence out there on our lakes.
Yeah, no question. Well, it's a lot of fun. One thing on the lake I've noticed this year, Kyle Agre with us, Gone Outdoors with Brewer and Agre, Scott Brewer, Kyle Agre, Saturday mornings, 11 o'clock after the Solid Gold Saturday morning show. This year, with it being dry, the mosquitoes have been pretty low. We had that little stretch there, I think, right before the 4th of July where they came out because we had a little rain before the holiday, and then, of course, with the dry weather. But you know what is out there? Biting flies and horse flies. Man, they won't go away. They don't care. Oh, my goodness, are they awful this year.
You are right. You are so spot on with that, Derek. And we're seeing them, the lakes and the places that I've been going. It doesn't matter if you're at the cabin and you're on shore or if you're out on the water, but those horse flies. And about 2 weeks ago, they really came out, and they just continued. And you know what else is going out now? And we're getting into wasp and hornet season.
Yes. Yeah. Robbie Daniels was mentioning that this morning in the KFGO Morning Crew. She found a big nest right behind her house. Oh, those are awful. Yeah.
They are. My wife got hit 3 times on Sunday evening outside, just kind of watering her flowers. So, yeah, got to be diligent watching what's buzzing around you when you're out there.
Yeah, no question. Kyle Agre, what do you and Scott Brewer have coming up on Saturday?
Well, we got another awesome show, Derek, and as you know, our guests are just they make it, and Micah Thureen, he is the DGF high school fishing coach, and
nice.
DGF does this fundraiser every August. They do a fish fry and corn feed, and they have all sorts of silent auctions and things you can buy and bid on, and they do that out at the Buffalo River Speedway. That's coming up, and we're going to preview that event with Micah and talk about what the event is about, but also how does that support their team and the events they're involved in. We'll talk to Matt Schneider of Reveal Tacticam. As much as we continue to talk about electronics and fishing, we're talking about it on the hunting side too. Trail cameras, the ability to see what's going on your hunting property. I'm intrigued by it. I know a lot of our listeners are intrigued by it. And so Matt's going to share some more strategies with how we use those trail cameras and some of the features that are important. And then we're going to get a fishing report. North Central Minnesota, Brian Brosdahl, Bros Guide Service. He's up there in Leech Lake, Winnibigoshish, that area, Bemidji to Walker. And he's going to talk a little bit about what the bite's been doing. He's going to share a little insight. He kind of gave us a preview when we set it up with about what's going on right now. And there's a crayfish molt that's happening. And a lot of these fish are keyed in on that for food sources. And so he's going to tell us how to capitalize on that and put some more fish in our boat. So we got a great lineup. And as always, we're talking hunting, fishing, and anything you can do outdoors. Yeah,
you mentioned hunting. I'm guessing, and I know how much you like sports and football too, but August is probably, we're in the couple last days of August, July here before we get to August on Saturday, August 1st. I'm sure it's like you, bittersweet, right? We love fall. You love hunting. You get great fall fishing. Football starts. But, man, that means summer ends. It is the most bittersweet feeling in the world for me each and every year. So,
well, Derek, you're right. Scott and I talk about that a lot on the show, and we are blessed. And we really mean that. With where we live, we have just a variety of seasons, right? And you go from summer to fall, and then you transition into ice fishing in winter and spring and all that it has. And every one of those seasons has something really cool and exciting. But the thing is, none of them stay around too long, right? They got to
No.
have room for everybody.
Well,
And
winter does. Winter kind of ate up spring this year. Let's just face it. I mean, spring was like a week, I think, this year, to be honest. But
Good point. I'm not going to argue with that. But you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. And I know there's a lot of people that are just excited. Well, we were at the Hunt Fest at Shields last weekend, and just excited about the upcoming hunting season. And early Canada Goose is only 2 weeks away now. So, I mean, it really is here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you've heard my analogy with fall, right? I mean, I love summer, but I really like fall. September, early October is great. But, the problem with fall, it's much like the movie Braveheart. It's very good, but the hero still gets its head chopped off at the end. So, spoiler alert there. So, it's an abrupt ending, but you enjoy it while it's there. So, yeah. How's that analogy for you on a Thursday afternoon?
I'm just kind of thinking that one through, Derek. I don't know.
Well,
for someone that tries to be an optimist as much as I
right.
can,
well,
not sure how to put that one.
Here's the thing: is that you and Scott. I mean, when the change comes, you accept. Okay, let's get the water hard, get the ice out there, so we can get on lake, right? Yep. And I did a little bit of that, and then I got over it. It was a short-lived me trying to be an ice fisherman. So if I liked winter hobbies or like going outside the winter, it'd be different. But I don't. I'd just rather sit outside like today and sweat, as I told you before we got on the air. So here we go.
Well, now we can soak it up now, and I'm not saying I love winter, but you kind of have two choices. You can either sit inside and do nothing, or you can get out and take what it gives you. So I think for a lot of us, we're going to take what it gives us and make the best of it.
You have a much better attitude about sitting inside and feeling sorry for myself is probably not the way to go. It's a very good point. So, all right. I do have a plan this year. I said, on weekends where I don't have to work or whatever, if it looks like it's going to be even 30 degrees in Sioux Falls, and if it's going to be like 5 here, guess where I'm going? I'm just going to take road trips just down I-29 just to kind of get out of the real brutal cold. Even if it's a few, I think you have to mentally. You don't need to go to Florida all the time, but even heading down to Nebraska where it might be 20 above instead of 20 below is what I'm going to do this year. So.
And you can make some fun trips out of a little run to Sioux Falls for a weekend or a long weekend in Omaha.
Yep.
I mean, there's just a lot that the Midwest has to offer.
No doubt. Well, have yourself a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys again next week to get you ready for Gone Outdoors with Brewer and Agre, Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Thanks so much, my friend.
Thank you, Derek, and thanks to all the listeners who tune in on Saturday. We can't wait to visit with you again.
This is the Drive Time News again, a Solid Gold Saturday morning show, 4 until 11 a.m., followed by Gone Outdoors. Twins baseball will be on. Second game against the Mariners of that 3-game series at 2:30.